Welcome back, class 10. Continuing with your physical education class, chapter 5, sports training. We were doing the importance of sports training, and we have completed two topics under this importance. One is how sports training builds up strength and endurance, and how sports training improves skill levels. Now, third is sports training builds motivation, ambition, and confidence. Taking the help of sports psychology, sports training builds motivation, ambition, and confidence in athletes. So, if you take the help of a psychologist who specializes in sports psychology, a sports person can build motivation, ambition, and confidence. Psychological techniques for enhancing, that means improving, performance like goal setting, using eccentric reward, and application of positive self-talk builds motivation, ambition, and confidence in an athlete. So motivation is essentially about the direction of effort over a prolonged period of time. So you have to be constantly motivated. An athlete has to be constantly motivated to achieve their goal, his or her goal. And if in the midway, if a person or if an athlete gets demotivated, he can motivate himself or herself through self-motivation, or can take the help of a psychological help by a person who is an expert in sports psychology. Now, coming back to the point of building motivation, ambition, and confidence, positive self-talk makes use of an athlete's powerful inner voice to reinforce their self-esteem and importance. And amongst the athletes, a positive environment should be there. They should talk positively, so it enhances the self-esteem or important aspect of their performance. Well appropriate repetition self-talk can positively alter, that means change, an athlete's belief system. Task relevant self-talk, mood related self-talk, and positive self-affirmation statements developed athletes' self-confidence. So this is how sports training builds motivation, ambition, and confidence. It improves knowledge of the sports. Sports training provide knowledge of latest rules and regulations, techniques and tactics, methods of training, different components of physical fitness and psychological training, develop attitude, motivation, and confidence. Moreover, understanding these things means understanding attitude, motivation, confidence. Understanding these things it also widens the athlete's knowledge about sports. So once an athlete understands what is attitude, how to develop attitude, what is motivation, how to be motivated, and how to be confident, if you always practice these things, it will widen the knowledge of the athlete. Knowledge of latest rules and regulations gives the athletes knowledge they need to know, and which will help to maximize their performance without breaking any rules. That is very important. You have to maximize the performance without breaking any rule. So it will help them not to get disqualified, damage their sporting reputation, and also come out with strategies for manipulating rules for their or their team's benefit. So manipulation of the rules will be there, but it will be in a legal way. So next point is sports training improves muscle tone. Muscle tone is the residual muscle tension. It is an unconscious low-level contraction of muscles while they are at rest. Essentially, muscle tone is what makes muscles feel somewhat firm when an individual is resting and not intentionally tensing them. Muscle tone means the firmness of the muscles when you are at rest, when you're not contracting or doing something else. So when you are at rest, what is the condition of your muscles? Muscle tone helps to keep muscles primed, means at the peak, and ready for action. It helps to maintain balance and posture. It also functions as safety mechanism that allows for quick unconscious muscle reflex reaction for any sudden muscle fiber stretch. Sports training gives emphasis on developing physical fitness components. It includes methods for training for flexibility, strength, speed, endurance, and coordination. Development of components of physical fitness develops muscle tone. So if the muscle tone is developed, you will be able to unconsciously use your muscle reflex in a sports, which is very important. And it also develops flexibility, strength, speed, endurance, and coordination. Now, what else is enhanced in sports training? It facilitates good circulation. Circulation is the primary function of the circulatory system. Circulatory system delivers oxygen and nutrients through blood to each body cells. It also removes toxins from cells. The circulatory system includes not just the heart but also 60,000 miles of blood vessels. Sports training exercise makes the blood circulation stronger, more flexible, and more expansive. A healthy circulatory system boosts up athletic performance. Obviously, if you are having a good circulatory system, it will improve your performance. Seventh point is sports training improves agility and flexibility. Now, zigzag run, shuttle run, ladder drills, these all drills improve agility. You are agile. It increases balance, control, flexibility. It helps to retain good posture, alignment. That means in a straight line. It also helps the body to learn correct body placement while moving quickly. Agility training helps to build pathway in the brain for fast response to various stimulus. Dynamic and static stretching techniques develop flexibility. Flexibility improves range and grace in motion, which is very important. Range of motion, ROM, and grace, how gracefully you can move. It also helps in developing speed and coordination. So, an athlete who is agile, an athlete who is flexible, chances are he will be a better athlete. So how it can be achieved? It can be achieved by proper sports training. Sports training also improves the rate of waste product disposal. Building up waste products within the muscle cause muscles fatigue and weaken more easily, resulting in an increasing chance of injuries. Removal of waste products such as lactic acid within the muscle decreases fatigue and helps muscles to become healthier and stronger. Metabolic waste are also replaced with oxygen and nutrients provided by the blood flow, and this aids in the maintenance of healthy muscles. Cooling down exercise, stretching exercise, and massage improves the rate of waste product disposal. So if self-explanatory, nothing to explain. Now, sports training also speeds up the recovery time. A well-designed sports training program takes into account the intensity of load and volume of load to ensure that there is a proper time for the body to recover and develop. Nutrition to match needs, drinking lots of water, performing cooling down exercise, and proper sleep will assist in speeding up recovery time. Accelerating recovery time helps in the preparedness of the body for the next training session. So if you have a proper sports training, if the guide and the coach and the trainers are properly training you, or an athlete, not you, what will happen is that athlete will develop less time. The athlete will take less time to recover from the previous session of the sports training. So what happens is the athlete will be ready in a much faster way, quicker for the second session. So it speeds up the recovery time. Now number 10 is sports training, if done properly, makes an athlete more resistant to injury and illness. Sports training helps to draw up a program to prevent athletes from getting injured. Athletes need to practice their sports regularly, but it is more essential to do things correctly. Proper and correct training is very important. If they don't practice properly, they will end up making serious mistakes which will be detrimental, that means harmful, for their performance in competition and pose risk of being injured. So if a person is not correctly and properly trained, chances are that the athlete will get injured, which will be harmful for his sporting career. Sports training emphasis on warm-up and cool-down, wearing correct sports gear, means equipment, providing rest up between training, intake of good nutrition, focus on technique and development of physical fitness, and psychological qualities, emphasizing on the above while training makes individual more resistant to injury and illness. So what one should emphasize during sports training? Warm up, cool down, wearing correct sports gear, providing rest up time between training, intake of good nutrition, focusing on technique and development of physical fitness and psychological qualities. Number 11 point is, if properly done, sports training helps to improve concentration. The ability to concentrate is the key to an athlete striving to reach peak performance. Concentration means focusing attention on what one is doing, regardless, immaterial to external and sometimes internal distractions. Whatever is happening around you and whatever is happening inside you, you should avoid it and you should concentrate on the game or the sports. How it is done? Through practice. Practicing concentration when in fatigue and following a routine improves concentration. Sports training emphasizes on learning and applying psychological techniques to improve concentration, like relaxing, visualizing in front of you, that is visualization, and imagery. The imagery means you will be imagining that you have won the match and how you will proceed. So your mind has to be strong. And how your mind will be strong? By focusing on your goal and practicing concentration when in fatigue, which will be following. How will you do? Following a routine which improves concentration. And lastly, sports training increases self-esteem. It increases the confidence they need and guide them to gain mental health. Sports training helps the athletes to test their limits, to do things that they couldn't have imagined doing. Things improve. Things in the sports training improves the self-esteem of a person and makes them feel happier within themselves, which is important, not just in sports, but in everyday life. So these basically are the importance of sports training. Number one is it builds up strength and endurance. Sports training improves skill levels. Sports training builds motivation, ambition, and confidence. Sports training improves knowledge of their sports. Sports training increases muscle tone. Sports training facilitates good circulation. Sports training improves agility and flexibility. Sports training improves the rate of waste product disposal. Sports training speeds up recovery time. Sports training makes an athlete more resistant to injury and illness. Sports training improves concentration, and sports training increases self-esteem. So, I will just go through the objectives of sports training before ending this chapter. The objectives of the sports training are: number one, it develops skill and fitness specific to a particular sports. Number two, it appreciate and to be able to execute strategic play. Sports training's another objective is to participate at a level appropriate to one's development stage. Number four, work effectively within a group towards a common goal. Number five, appreciate the rituals and conventions that give particular sports their unique meaning. Number six, sports training's objective is to develop the capacity to make logical decisions about sport issues. Its another objective is talent scouting at a micro level and nurturing talents towards excellence. Another objective is training and international exposure. Also, sports training supports training within scientific and sports equipment and specific personnel. Sports training objective is to monitor and enhance performance within a scientific evaluation system. Sports training objective is training and preparation of team. Sports training objective is to acquire knowledge, experience, and method in order to be effective in human relationships. And lastly, sports training's objective is to develop awareness of power and relational issues in group and in organizations. So these are the 13 objectives are there of sports training and 12 importance. There are 3 more basically objectives. Another objective is to develop confidence and better understanding of how to deal with conflict situation creatively and with clarity. And another objective of sports training is to develop intervention and collaboration skill, increasing leadership capacity and skill. And lastly, sports training's objective is to raise awareness about the change of rules and regulations in a sport. So basically, sports training's importance you have to learn, and you have to go through the objectives of the sports training so that you will have an idea of what is basically sports training. It's a huge subject. Basically, it's a huge sports training is a separate subject altogether, but in a nutshell, I believe you have understood what is sports training. And with this, we come to the end of chapter 5. Thank you.